What's going on, guys? Cameron here, and we are reviewing Web Warriors issue 2. I don't know what it is, but I just cannot pronounce my words today, so hopefully I can make it through the rest of this review without messing it up, but I'm not making any promises. So what happened in the previous issue? Well, we saw a million Electros all come together, alternate versions all teaming up by the looks of it, to take down the Spider-Men of each universe. Well, kind of. They are more or less crawling the web and in search of silver or something along those lines anyway. I imagine they've got more of a sinister plan up the sleeve. But one thing that I did bring up in the previous issue was that if there are hundreds of alternate Electros doing this, then will there be also 100 Dr. Octopuses? Will there be 100 Green Goblins doing this as well? Like, will we see other characters? I hope we do. It'll be like a Sinister Six times a million or something like that. That would just be awesome to see. And especially since Green Goblin is like Spider-Man's arch nemesis, imagine having hundreds of them for him to battle. That would be so good to see. But yeah, I'm just throwing ideas out here. But guys, I think it's round about the time that we get into this issue now. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into it. So we jump into the issue and we join a young version of Electro, obviously in an alternate universe, and it's actually really depressing. It's about where at first he was just stealing for fun, and then eventually he had to steal so that he could eat at night. And then obviously he got the freak accident that gave him Electro powers and all that crazy stuff. Now, something that I want to mention right off the bat is that I absolutely love it how they're kind of tying in an Electro story with the Spider-Verse. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but at the very beginning of the Spider-Verse in the Amazing Spider-Man issue 9, we saw an alternate version of Spider-Man who lives on the moon was killed by Deimos. And it turns out that this Electro was actually stood there witnessing Spider-Man being killed by Deimos. And he overheard Deimos talking about alternate versions, alternate Spider-Man, alternate universes. And that's when Electro wanted to tap into those alternate universes to take a universe for himself. And don't you think that is just an awesome concept for a villain such as Electro to do? Like, seriously, that is an incredible story to be telling, especially from an Electro perspective, and I didn't really expect it to tie in with the Spider-Verse. Like, I knew, obviously, the Inheritors had already been doing all this alternate universe jumping, etc., but I didn't really think that it would spill over to our villains. Like, I just think that's amazing that they thought of that. Now, one thing that I did bring up towards the end of the previous issue was if there is an Electro that's jumping from alternate universes, if there's millions of Electros, then does that mean that there's millions of Dr. Octopuses? Is there millions of Green Goblins? Will we see a Sinister Six? And as we saw back there, Electro actually turns to Dr. Octopus to enhance his plan, and then he kills Dr. Octopus, which means that obviously there are alternate Dr. Octopuses and alternate Green Goblins and alternate Sandmans and alternate Mysterios all throughout these parallel universes. So I'm so hoping that we get some kind of Sinister Six times 100. You know, like where there's going to be like a million Sinister Sixes or something. That would be just so cool to see. Anyway, enough with me blabbing on about all these theories. One thing with travelling from dimension to dimension is that you're obviously going to run into an alternate version of yourself that is a million times better than you, and that is exactly what happened to Electro. He actually ran into an alternate version of himself that was incredibly smart, who also had electric powers, and Electro actually went to this alternate version, shown him the plan, and this smarter version of Electro used all of this information to create like an army of Electros, and now the original Electro, who actually started all of this alternate universe jumping, is now on guard watch. He's become a slave to this more intelligent version of himself. And I actually find that really interesting because Electro thinks he's the best of the best, even against himself from other alternate universes, and that's something that I would like to see play out in the future. It's almost like, imagine if you ran into an alternate version of yourself. Would you like yourself? Well, Electro doesn't like himself very much. And I can see that coming into conflict with his original plan. Like, by the end of this, he might not even want to travel to alternate dimensions anymore. Now, something that we're getting on screen here is a bunch of Electros have actually gone through the portal to take on a team of Spider-Men, obviously attacking Spider-Man UK, Spider-Ham, Indian Spider-Man, and all of that crazy stuff. Now, I honestly have to say that I believe that art style shines through the pages in these fight scenes, and yes, that was a pun because of electricity and shining. But I really feel the art style is drawn best in the fight scenes, especially when the lightning's flying everywhere, and Electro's such an interesting character to draw that it makes the action look even more interesting on the pages. I mean, come on guys, look at that panel on screen right there, it looks awesome. I also love that Christmas joke in there where it was called Pigs in Blankets. Especially the reaction between the horse Electro and the pig Spider-Man. I mean, those two characters seeing each other, obviously shocked that there's a horse who's Electro, but also shocked that there's a pig who's Spider-Man. Now, something that I love about the writing in this fight scene is the beginning of the fight scene where one of the Electros is like, whoa, these guys are so fast, and then before he can even finish his sentence, he gets punched in the face. Now, what you've got to remember is that even though these are multiple Electros, they are all still Electro, they are all still dumb as each other, except for the odd one that's still like really intelligent. But at the end of the day, they are all still Electro, so they're all still beatable, and I love that about that. So as we move on throughout the comic, we can't forget that Spider-Gwen is still being held captive by all of these Electros, and we can see the original Electro who started all of this alternate universe jumping is actually conversing with Gwen, and she's almost like teaming up with Electro, you know, trying to get him to go against all the other Electros, trying to team up with him, show that she's a friendly person, trying to gain his trust. And obviously it's Electro, so he's dumb as hell, and he actually believes her. Now, I genuinely thought that Gwen was going to team up with Electro, but as they get over the other side, as she's set free and they go through the portal, when Electro's back his turn, she completely takes him out instantly. And I've only just noticed this, but she actually knocks one of his teeth out, so I'm hoping that maybe Electro comes back with a little bit of a grudge against Gwen because she knocked his tooth out. Now, one of the big negatives that I had when I was reading this comic was that Gwen actually moved forward and went on to take down the big bad Electro. Instead of just going back to her team of Spider-Men, she just went on by her lonesome trying to take out this other guy, and I thought that was pretty foolish of her to do. But then again, I don't think she was expecting it to be this massive ultra power Electro, so yeah, it kind of evens it out, but I don't know, just thought that was a little bit foolish. But that is where the issue ends, to be continued in Web Warriors issue 3. Guys, what did you think of this issue? Let me know in the comment section below. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this comic, and of course we can talk about it in the comments below. So as for the comic overall, I'm actually feeling a little bit more of a 9 out of 10. Just because we got that awesome backstory that ties into the Spider-Verse alongside Electro's origin story for that alternate universe. And something that I didn't really expect to see was a development character of Electro. Like, we actually saw him raise to power. We actually saw him rise to power, and then once he met an alternate version of himself that was more powerful than him, he then became like a slave to that Electro, and I just love that idea. And him actually going against the other Electros to try and take it all back. And of course the art style, so yeah, 9 out of 10 guys. I'd also like to point out that I'm still doing a giveaway on my Instagram for Spider issue 1. Remember, all you have to do is like the picture on my Instagram to enter it. The link will be in the description. And of course, if you want, you can just follow me on Instagram as well. Now, as for keeping up to date with all my videos, you can follow me on Twitter. For keeping up to date on all of the comic book news and my videos, you can follow me on my Facebook page. And for keeping up to date on all of these reviews, you can hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. You can hit the like button on this video, and I will see you all next time.